بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hope you guys doing amazing. MashaAllah. I appreciate all the good feedback, engagements, helping me escape that shadow ban. Been banned since Obama. Actually, probably since Bush too. Long story. But alhamdulillah, we went through, we said if we'd imagined usul al-fiqh as a cereal box, here's the ingredients. I'm going to give you something very important. I'll take this with you. If I was writing a book in usul al-fiqh, this will be the title, and these 4 chapters would be what makes up the text. And then these 5, 4, 4, 3 kind of subsections would be the sections under each chapter. So textual analysis, 5 sections. Sources of evidence, 4. Interpretation methods, 4. Scholars' rulings, 3. And everything else you go to from this point on, whether an intermediate text or a mid-intermediate text or advanced intermediate text or one of the major texts, this is what you're going to run into. Of course, it's going to be expanded on. There's going to be other subsections added, but this is like the guts. This is the macros of usul al-fiqh. This is the bones, scaffolding, any metaphor that works for you, man. Make it work, brother. Now we're going to start our journey, textual analysis. First thing we're going to talk about is classifications of speech. Imam al-Haramain, the waraqat, I think he says, وَأَقْسَامُ الْكَلَامِ. فَأَمَّا أَقْسَامُ الْكَلَامِ. Talks about the parts of speech. The parts of speech for Arabic are 3. Ibn al-Ajurun, he says, وَأَقْسَامُهُ ثَلَاثَ. Almost the exact same thing here. He says, وَأَقْسَامُهُ ثَلَاثَ اسْمُ وَفِعْلُ وَحَرْفٌ جَاءَ لِمَعْنَى. Nouns, verbs, articles of preposition. فَأَقَلُّ مَا يَتَرَكَّبُ مِنْهُ الْكَلَامِ. Here's something very important. And I want you to keep this in mind. Scholars of usul al-fiqh oftentimes press and push disciplines to go beyond the scope of what the specialists in those disciplines developed. So, for example, logic, Arabic language, Asuki in Jama' Jawama. Jama' Jawama is one of the most important books in usul al-fiqh for the advanced intermediate, where he brings together the Hanafi method of usul, like found in usul al-Shashi, and the usul of the other 3 madhabs. That's why it's called Jama' al-Jawama, bringing it all together. So Asuki says over there, as well as someone named Zarkhashi with Kha, Zarkhashi, Land of Golds, Persian. He was a great Shafi scholar, wrote a book called Bahr al-Muhit. He also says something very similar, that with regards to the Arabic language, scholars of usul al-fiqh uncovered and developed things that surpass even the specialists in Arabic. Subhanallah, man. So he says, فَأَقَلُّ مَا يَتَرَكَّبُ مِنْهُ الْكَلَامِ. And here we see something going on. This is a very usuli type of approach, that the smallest amount of words that can make up a complete sentence, he says, isman. If you stop, you say isman. But if you're reading with a teacher, don't do this. Don't say, فَأَقَلُّ مَا يَتَرَكَّبُ مِنْهُ الْكَلَامُ isman. This is Hamzatul Wasl, man. Kalamus man. Kalamus man. You don't say Bi Ismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And when you read like that, it shows that you put in the necessary prerequisite work that will justify and qualify you to be reading in front of a scholar. Little things like this. So, Ma yatarakkabu minhu al-kalam usman. Why do I tell you that? I was reading to a sheikh one time from Sudan, Sheikh Dr. Ahmed. I was reading Ibn Aqil, and he said, "You're the first American I ever heard who didn't say e, 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 e." Not to boast. There's brothers that read much better than me, but I felt sad. He was like, "Why do they do that?" I said, "Sheikh, it's our habit. We don't read the same way." So pay attention, mashallah, 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 wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, to this stuff. فأقل ما يتركب منه الكلام اسمان أو اسم وفعل أو فعل وحرف. So what is the smallest sort of consistency or ingredients that are going to make up a complete sentence, two nouns, a noun and a verb and an article preposition, or a noun and an article preposition. So that's what we want to talk about here, classifications of speech. And we're going to talk about this classification of speech based on structure. Noun, verb, article of meaning or preposition. So the first thing he mentions, this man, in the text above us, Shaykh al-Imam al-Haramain says, فَأَقَلُّ مَا يَتَرَكَّبُ مِنْهُ اسْمَانِ, two nouns. Allahu ahadun. Allah, lafzul jalala is a noun. How do we know that it has alif lam? Alif lam is the sign of a noun. Ahadun has tanween. One is the definite article, tanween is the indefinite article. Both of them, when you find them in front of a word, alif lam, if it's been added to a word, or tanween indicates that word is a noun. So Allahu ahadun. You can say ash-shajara tawilatun. Ash-shajara, the tree, alif lam. Tawilatun is tall, tanween. Number two, a noun and a verb. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. Surah Al Imran, Surah Baqarah actually. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا يَأْتِ بِكُمُ اللَّهُ جَمِيعًا. Here, istabiqu is a verb. Al-khayrat is a noun. How do you know it? Alif lam. And kasra. Kasra is also the sign of a noun. فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ أَيْنَمَا تَكُونُوا. But the point is, verb and noun is a complete sentence. Verb and a particle. مَا قَام. مَا قَام. What's understood here is not stood. The subject is hidden. مَا قَام هُوَ. Or مَا قَام صُهَيْبٌ. So did not stand. That's why some scholars differ over whether that is truly a complete sentence or not. That's not our discussion. You can find that in the books of grammar, so on and so forth. Right here, just as an example, this combines a negative particle ma with the verb, the past tense verb qam, stood. Ma qam suhayb. The fourth, a noun and a particle. Ya Muhammad. Ya Muhammad. Ya for harf nida Muhammadun. Of course, there's a person named Muhammad. Most grammarians interpret this as implying a complete sentence because the ya actually represents a verb. Ad'u aw unadi Muhammadan. So sometimes an article can represent a hidden sentence. Ya ay unadi. Unadi Muhammad. Understanding the structure of speech is crucial. Why in usul al-fiqh? Why would we do this right now? You have to ask yourself why. Why? Because it is crucial for proper interpretation of religious texts. Something is a verb and it's prohibited. We understand the action to be haram. If something is a verb like up here, fastabiqul khayrat, you must race to do good. We understand this to be a command to do this action. So knowing if it's a verb or not and the type of verb is going to help us understand the ruling. The combination of different word types creates various meanings and implications that affect legal derivation, extraction of rulings. For example, knowing whether a phrase consists of two nouns or a verb or the noun helps determine if it's stating a fact or commanding an action. Al-khamru haramun. Alcohol is haram. I'm stating something. لا يجوز لك أن تشرب الخمر. It's not allowed for you to drink alcohol. Now it's an action. Next time, we're going to talk about the classification based on function and meaning. Is very important, very interesting, and it is crucial as you begin to open up your mind to the science of usul al-fiqh. And I want to remind you at this moment, you're at the guts, you're in the core of the subject. So don't get frustrated. Stay patient. Keep reviewing, keep reviewing, keep reviewing. Ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make things easy. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum.